Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Alrighty, so cigarette hats are awesome. That's right, I came out and said it. Cigarette hats are indeed awesome. But that's not all. They also make smoking even cooler than it already is as well. Now, frankly put, that is a pretty wild thing to say because smoking is already one of the coolest things that you can possibly do as a human being. And I did not think it was possible to make smoking even cooler than it already is. But these hats have done the impossible. They have made smoking even cooler than it already is. And to prove just how awesome these cigarette hats right here actually are, and to prove that they make smoking even cooler than it already is, today I'm going to be giving you guys a full overview and review of these Kirkle cigarette hats right here. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and smoke a cigarette wearing a cigarette hat for the first time, which as a whole, I am very excited to do. I know just how awesome and just how much more cool these hats make smoking, but I have yet to experience those extra levels of cool for myself. And so as such, I certainly am very excited to experience all of that for myself for the first time in today's video along with y'all. To say the least, I am excited for this video today, but I am also very thankful I have the opportunity to make this video because I hate to say it, these are not a real product. They are a parody bootleg product, and they were made by Leg Boot Legit, who runs a couple different social media pages about making bootleg parody products, with this being one of them. Leg Boot Legit reached out to me a couple months ago and asked if I would be willing to make a video about the cigarette hats that he had made previously, and of course I said yes. And Leg Boot Legit was kind enough to send this pack of cigarette hats over to my P.O. box and was kind enough to allow me to make a video with them. Thank you so much to Leg Boot Legit for providing these cigarette hats for today's video. I really, really, really do appreciate it. I'm gonna go ahead and put some of Leg Boot Legit's information and social media pages on screen right now. I'm also gonna have links to all of his stuff in the description down below and in the comments down below. Go check out all of his links. He makes some really good content. Highly recommend. Thank you so much once again to Leg Boot Legit for providing these cigarette hats for this video today. But where do I want to start with the full overview and review of these cigarette hats right here? I'm thinking I want to start off with the packaging, in all honesty. After going over the packaging, I'm going to go ahead and get this pack of cigarette hats right here all opened up. I'm going to go ahead and get the cigarette hats all out, and I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know what the cigarette hats actually look like and what they are just like up close and personal. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and put one of the cigarette hats on one of my cigarettes, and I'm going to go ahead and smoke a cigarette wearing a cigarette hat for the first time. But first off, as said, we gotta go over the packaging, which frankly put is fantastic. It is a little bit of parody packaging, I do want to acknowledge, of course, and we can see it just says Kirkle up here. Kirkle is a parody of the gas station chain Circle K. And Circle K has a little bit of like a K logo or something like that that looks similar to this logo. Of course, Kirkle, Circle K, they mix pretty well kind of thing. So this is obviously a parody of Circle K brand packaging and everything like that. And it certainly does help that the color scheme for these cigarette hats right here matches exactly the color scheme of Circle K gas stations as well. Circle K gas stations tend to use a red, white, and yellow color scheme, and that's exactly the color scheme we see from this pack as well. And frankly put, it looks fantastic, and the colors as well are kind of reminiscent of like Marlboro Reds. I'm not sure if that's a reference that was intentional, but I'm personally getting those vibes. And we can see down here there's a little bit of a orange or like brown or yellow strip down here, and we can see there's like some little designs on it and everything like that kind of thing, and that is a reference to cork style cigarette filters. Very cool stuff if I do say so myself. There are a lot of references, there are a lot of little jokes on this packaging, and I'm going to try to go over each and every single one of them with y'all. But first off, let's go ahead and cover the backgrounds of this packaging right here. We can see in the center and going around the cigarette hats right here, there is a white background, and then to the side of that white background and above the white background down here, we can see there is a red background right here that gets interrupted just a little bit by some lines up here, and then towards the bottom down here, we can see there's a little bit of a brown slash orange slash tan background. I want to say it's more like brown orange than really tan, but you know, a little bit of a different background down here with a little bit of a design on it. That's the reference to the cork style filters as previously said. Up here in white, we can just see it just says Kirkle right there with a little bit of a Kirkle logo right there as well. That just says it in white. There's no sort of drop shadow or anything like that kind of thing. To the side of that, on a little bit of a rectangle right here that has a white background with black text on it, we could see it just says, warning, Surgeon Generals do not know diddly squat about style or looking cool as hell. And that is a statement I fully agree with. Surgeon Generals really do not know diddly squat about looking cool or style or anything like that kind of thing. They do not know nothing about that. That is a statement that I fully agree with. And of course, this little bit of a warning label right here is a parody of the Surgeon General warnings on packs of cigarettes in the United States. Moving on to the side of this warning label right here, but yet at the same time kind of below, we can see there is a little bit of a line right here. There's a white line up top and then a orange or brown line towards the bottom right there, and that's just to separate this kind of area up here from the area down there, and it does a pretty good job of doing that if I do say so myself. Then below this line we can see the actual sort of Cigarette Hats logo and design and everything like that. We can see that's all on a white background. There's a little bit of a gray, sort of like a little bit of a flame right there. I think that's meant to be a flame if I had to guess at least, and that's all in sort of a gray, and it's got a little bit of a very slightly darker gray drop shadow to it as well on this side, as we can see, going around the top level of the flame in orange / brown. I want to say it's more orange than brown in all honesty. I'm just going to say orange. But in orange, going around this flame right here, we could just see it just says, now they look even more cool. And I fully agree with that. These cigarette hats make cigarettes look even more cool than they already looked. I mean, like, it's just an undeniable fact, frankly put. And above the gray little flame right here, we could see there's the actual Cigarette Hats logo itself right there. We could see there's a little bit of a rectangle with curved edges, and that is all in red, I want to say, and then there's a little bit of an orange border going around that red background with a little bit of a black drop shadow going under that, and we can see right here in white it just says cigarette right there in a very nice, almost cursive yet still print font, a little bit more of a fancy print font than not, and that has a black drop shadow to the text. And then under that, kind of going over the rectangle just a little bit, we can see it just says hats right there, all in black, in the exact same font we saw right there, and that is all in black with a little bit of a white border going around it, and then a little bit of an orange drop shadow, I definitely have to say. So it just says Cigarette Hats right there, and then above the rectangle we can see the rectangle is actually wearing a hat itself. It's wearing a little bit of a black bowler hat. All of the details for that bowler hat are in black, but it has a little bit of a white border going all the way around it and around the different areas of the bowler hat, and then we can see there's a little bit of an orange drop shadow as well. And that's pretty much all there is to this design. I think it looks fantastic, frankly put, and I think Leg Boot Legit really has just absolutely nailed the look that a lot of like gas station brands use on like little products that they sell at like the counter and stuff like that kind of thing. I think he has absolutely nailed it, and I really do think this packaging is just fantastic, frankly put. I love how it looks. It's so dang funny. There's so many different references and everything like that kind of thing, yet if you don't pay attention too much, it really does look like a real product, and I absolutely love that. And of course that was exactly the goal, and I think he has absolutely nailed it. But that's pretty much all there is to the design right here. Moving on to the sides of this design, we can see a red background on either side, and interrupting the red background right here and right here, we could see there's another little bit of an oval or rectangle with curved edges, however you want to put it. This time these little designs right here have a white background with black text in the center, but they do still have a little bit of an orange border going all the way around them. And we can see on this side it just says Fedora all in black, and of course that's in reference to the fedora right here. And then right here it just says baseball right there, which is in reference to the baseball hat right here. In specific, this is a New York Yankees baseball hat, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And then below these two designs right here, we go back to a white background, and then we can see the actual cigarette hats through the little bit of the plastic right here and whatnot. We can see they're mounted on a fake cigarette, and then we can see the inside of the packaging has a very interesting sort of, I'd have to say almost like bus seat design kind of thing. It's almost a sort of bus seat design, which I absolutely love, and it's got sort of a white background, but then there's like pink and yellow lines going all the way through. I don't know how well you guys can see on camera. I think the plastic might be reflecting a little bit too well, but I'll show you guys that once I actually get the cigarette hats out and everything like that kind of thing. But we can indeed see the cigarette hats through the cellophane, through the plastic, just a little bit better than not. And then below these hats right here, we can see there's a little bit more design right here. It just has on the sort of cork style background, it just says in white 2-pack right there. To the side of that, it just says nicotine resistant, all in gray. I'd hope it would be nicotine resistant. Do want to make sure I don't be staining these with no nicotine or nothing like that kind of thing. And then to the other side, it just says leg boot right there. And that is Leg Boot's little bit of a design that he puts on all of his little creations. We can see there's a leg with a boot at the top rather than on the bottom, a leg boot rather than boot leg kind of thing. And yep, just says Leg Boot right there, and that is integrated very well if I do say so myself. And that's pretty much all there is to the front of the packaging. I think as a whole, Leg Boot legit really has just absolutely nailed the look that a lot of like gas stations go for with like their products and stuff like that kind of thing. I think it's been absolutely nailed. I could definitely see these for sale at like Circle K or even a store like, let's say, Five Below, or maybe even like Dollar General or the Dollar Tree or Family Dollar or something like that kind of thing. I could definitely see these for sale there, and I think that was exactly the goal. Frankly put, this packaging is fantastic. It looks great. It looks like a gas station product. I think it's great. I am a huge fan of this packaging, and I think it's hilarious as well. The little Surgeon General warning up here is pretty funny. The Kirkle right here, I love that reference because there's a lot of different Circle Ks in my local area. Now they look even more cool. That text up there, oh man, I got to stop talking because otherwise I'm just going to be talking about how much I love this packaging for the next like 5 minutes or so. But I am a fan of this packaging. Let me just put it that way. There's more to the packaging than just the front though. And, of course, there's also a back to the packaging. And the back of the packaging is indeed quite different from the front. We can see, once again, there's a white background down here, there's a cork style background right here, and there's a red background up here. And we can see, once again, it just says Kirkle right there with a little bit of the Kirkle logo, and all of this is in white once again. Then we can see the white and orange little border strip right here, and then under that, we just get an image of some lungs right here. There's an image of some lungs. Is this a real warning label, or is this another joke? Well, it's another joke, of course, and it's a great joke if I do say so myself. We can see this entire image right here is bordered in white, and on the image, which has some like little red area, that's like a little bit of an x-ray of some lungs and whatnot kind of thing, but on the image, it just says, sophistication has metasized? Sophistication has metasized, I think is the right way of metastasized? Metastasized. I think that's the right way of saying it. Honestly, I don't know how to pronounce that word. Honestly, I've never seen that word before. I've never said that word before, but that's what it says. And I think it just says that sophistication has gotten even more cool, but in fancy words. I'm not exactly sure, in all honesty. I should really look up what that word means, frankly put. But we can see overlaid over the x-ray right here just a little bit. We get a little bit of a gray square right here with some curved edges with a white background. And then we can see right there, it just has some white text and everything like that. And it just says X-ray view of a lung that is developing a mass of good taste and flair after using cigarette hats. So this x-ray right here is displaying the benefits of cigarette hats. The lungs are showing all the good tar that has good taste and good flair from the cigarette hats and everything like that kind of thing. So this is one of the positive effects that you're going to get from using cigarette hats when you're smoking cigarettes and everything like that kind of thing. Certainly no complaints on my behalf. Moving on below this design right here, we can see there's a little bit cartoon character of a cigarette, which I think just looks fantastic. Of course, the cigarette is also smoking a cigarette. He's got some hands, he's got some sunglasses on. I mean, like sunglasses, I mean, like, that's pretty cool if I do say so myself. Sunglasses, they really do make you look cooler, and it really does make this cigarette look cooler as well. But the thing that really makes this cigarette look even cooler than the sunglasses is, of course, the fedora that he is indeed wearing. We can see the fedora itself is all kind of in gray. It's got a little bit of a blue ribbon going around with a little bit of a gold strap right there. And then below that, the cigarette, well, just looks like a cigarette. White paper, cork style filter, you got gray arms with white gloves like Mickey Mouse. And then he's smoking a cigarette that looks very much like him. But sadly, this cigarette does not have a cigarette hat on, but he is indeed wearing a cigarette, or he is indeed wearing a cigarette. He is indeed wearing a hat as a cigarette. So, I mean, like, I'm not one to complain by any means, but either way, an amazing design. I think this little cartoon character is hilarious. face. And if this was a real product, I don't think anybody would ever allow that. So this is one of the beauties of this being a not real product, I do suppose. Although, maybe if it was a real product, maybe it would be allowed because, well, it's not actually a tobacco product. It's not actually a cigarette. Like, they can't put, like, Joe Camel on cigarette packs anymore. They can't put cartoon characters on cigarette packs anymore, but they can put cartoon characters on items that are related to cigarettes, but you might buy for a different reason as well, kind of thing. So it does depend, kind of thing. But we can see there's a little bit of a shadow under this cigarette right here. Then we can see there's some smoke lines coming up onto the red background right there. And of course, this cigarette, he's saying something, and he's just saying, "Listen, kid," with a little bit of a red asterisk right there. But he just says, "Listen, kid," all in black. And then it just says, "Some people like smoking baldies, I get it. Raw dogging a cig is already pretty badass. But if you want to be a real G or a classy dame, hat up those rets." And I fully agree with that statement. I enjoy smoking my baldies, but, you know, there's no better way to smoke a cigarette than with a cigarette hat, right? And then we can see that asterisk right there, just has the little bit of the clarification down here, and it just says, in this context, kid is slang for an inexperienced young adult, not a child. Smoking cigarettes is not legal for persons under the age of 21 in the United States. And, that I absolutely love that. That's one of my favorite things about the packaging, in all honesty. I love that little bit of clarification because if these were a real product, they would actually probably have to say that on the back of the packaging, kind of thing. They would have to say, "Hey, you do not use these if you are under 21, kind of thing. And I just love that. That's just a little bit of reality sprinkled in with the fantasy of these cigarette hats, and I just absolutely love it. It just makes them come across as so much more real than not. Moving on below, this text right here, though, we can see another cork style background right here, and it just says leg boot once again right there. And we could see the entire design from the front all the way to the back does indeed stretch around. We can see this red stretches all the way around just like that. This line right here stretches all the way around just like that. And this cork style background we see on the front stretches all the way around just like that as well. The design does indeed stretch around the packaging, and I absolutely love that. That's one of my favorite things that a cigarette pack can do, and it's a favorite thing that a piece of packaging in general can do, and I love that it's a thing with this piece of packaging as well. Moving on to the side of the packaging, we can see it just says cigarette hats right there in very much the same font that we saw on the front of the packaging, but it is spelled out, or not spelled out a little bit differently, but it's shown a little bit differently. It just says cigarette hats right there, with the cigarette being on a red background and then the hats being on a white background, just like on the front of the packaging, but they're not overlaid on top of each other. They are side by side this time. And it just says cigarette hats right there. This is all in white with a black drop shadow, and then this is all in black with an orange drop shadow. And then under the cigarette hats text right there, we can just see it just says, now they look even more cool in orange once again. And that is a nice little bit of the side of the packaging, if I do say so myself. Moving on to the other side of the packaging, we can see it says the exact same thing right there. Cigarette hats, now they look even more cool. Moving on to the top of the packaging, we can see it just says cigarette hats right there, all on a red background. And this is all in white now, not in white and black, and all of the text has a black drop shadow as well, and it looks a little bit more fancy than not, to say the least. And that's pretty much all that's going on the top of the packaging. It just says cigarette hats right there, and then moving on to the bottom, we just get a cork style right here. So not only does the design stretch around like that, it also stretches around like that, which is something that I really do appreciate. There's no sort of lettering or design really besides the cork style sort of background on the bottom of the packaging, but it still looks great nonetheless, if you ask me. As a whole, this packaging looks fantastic. I think as far as parody products go, this has got to be one of my favorite pieces of parody packaging I've ever seen. I absolutely love it, and I'm very thankful I have it with me today. Let me just put it that way. I love this packaging, and if this was a real product, this packaging I would have already bought like 3 of these just to have as collectibles. I would have already bought so many of these because this would just call out to me. I'd be like, cigarette hats? I need that. I'd buy like 3 of them, kind of thing. They're so dang good. They are so dang good. I love how this packaging looks. Let me just put it that way. But I do suppose, without further ado, it is now time for me to go ahead and cover the, well, quality of the packaging before I go ahead and actually get the packaging all opened up, before I go ahead and actually get the cigarette hats all out. Let's go and just feel the packaging real quick. The feel of the packaging is very much printed paperboard, I definitely have to say. There's a little bit of a more glossy / sticky texture right here, I definitely have to say, with the text, and same up here. So there is some texture change on the packaging, but not too much by any means. It definitely does come across as very high quality under finger, I definitely have to say. And the build quality of this box is fantastic as well. Definitely above average when compared to many other cardboard boxes for different products and everything like that kind of thing. Great quality, if I do say so myself. And the lines right here, they don't line up perfectly by any means, but they do line up very well. Great quality by all means. Well, I do suppose without further ado, I should probably go ahead and actually get this packaging all opened up so I can go ahead and show you guys the cigarette hats up close and personal now, shouldn't I? So I'm gonna go and take myself a little bit of a sip of water real quick. Gotta do it to them. And now that I've taken a little bit of a sip of water, let's go ahead and get this all opened up, and let's go ahead and get the cigarette hats out. Now, Legboot Legit was kind enough to send me a tutorial on how to get this box all opened up without damaging things. I am really bad at opening stuff without damaging it, so I'm very thankful to Legboot Legit for having sent over a tutorial on how to open this up properly. So I'm gonna try to do it properly. I have already opened this up once just to practice, but I'm gonna try to open it up again without damaging the box or anything like that. And there we go. That just opened up just like that, and we can see just there's nothing going on with the lid right here or anything like that kind of thing. Opening the little flaps just like that. We can see there's a little bit of a pull out thing, so you just pull this out just like that. And oh, I pulled it out backwards. I pulled it out backwards by accident. Well, let's go ahead and just put that in just a little bit so I can try to recreate that. Let's see, put that back in just real quick. Oh man, there we go. Okay. All right, pulling it out. There they are, y'all. There they are. I can't believe I pulled it out backwards at first. That is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and put this, oh man, I'm trying to figure out where I can put this where it's not gonna get crushed or anything like that kind of thing. I do not want this to get damaged. I don't want to scratch up the box or anything like that. I think the safest place I can put it is probably on the inside of my backpack. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put it in there just like that and try to make sure that it doesn't get crushed. Should be all good. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the cigarette hats themselves and the inside of the packaging as a whole. We can see the inside of the packaging, you just pull it out straight like that. And we can see there's two little boxes right here, just kind of making sure that these don't fly up or anything like that kind of thing. And we can see the overall design is that of a sort of bus seat design, I definitely have to say, which I absolutely love. It's got sort of a white or gray background with yellow lines going diagonally across and then pink lines or like pink dots as well. And I think that just looks great. On the camera, it all kind of blends together really well, frankly put, but in person you can really see everything separated, and it is a very nice design if I do say so myself. And the way you get the cigarette hats out is you just lift up the boxes just like that, and then you can just grab one of the cigarette hats out just like that. I'm going to do that in just a moment, but first off, I just want to feel them real quick before I go ahead and get them out. And from what Legboot Legit said, these were made with, if I remember correctly, oven bake clay, I think it was oven baked clay, and they feel very nice, very high quality if I do say so myself. Let's just go ahead and just take a look at them real quick. The New York Yankees baseball hat, of course, is dark blue like the New York Yankees baseball hats normally are. And of course, it has the Yankees logo in white right there. The fedora itself is all a very nice sort of slate gray with a little bit of a felt ribbon going around it, which looks fantastic if I do say so myself. We can see they are attached via pins to the fake cigarette right here. And that cigarette has sort of a very glossy sort of printed feeling to it, I definitely have to say. But other than it just looking a little bit fake kind of thing, it does look a lot more like a real cigarette than not. And is there anything else to mention? I think to really show you guys the hats up close and personal, I think I need to get them out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and lift this up. And I think first off, I'm gonna go with the New York Yankees cigarette hat. So I'm gonna go ahead and just very carefully get that one all out. I wanna make sure I don't damage it or anything like that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and just get that all out, just very carefully, just like that. And there we go. And we can see just came out right there. There's the hole in the fake cigarette, and the fake cigarette just feeling it just a little bit. It definitely has an actual, it's a little bit more glossy. You can definitely tell the paper's a little bit more thick than a real cigarette, but it feels a little bit like a real cigarette, which is something I really appreciate in all honesty. But I also love the idea of mounting the cigarette hats on a fake cigarette. I think that's such a good idea. I absolutely love that. That's probably not something I would have thought of for myself. And so I love seeing that, frankly put. But let's go ahead and take a look at the cigarette hat itself. We can see the cigarette hat itself is, of course, much smaller than that. It's a hat for a cigarette after all. It doesn't exactly fit me very well, but it's not meant to fit me. It's meant to fit my cigarette. And we can just see that it is a very nice dark blue, has the Yankees logo right there. Of course, it has a brim. It is a Yankee with the brim, if I do say so myself. And then we can see there's a bunch of lines going down. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 6-panel hat, as most Yankees baseball hats are. Then we can see there's a little bit of a dot at the center right there, connecting them all up. This is a very realistic, sort of miniaturized version of a Yankees hat, and I think it looks great. We can see there is a little bit of a push pin right here, and that's what you push into the cigarette to make sure the hat gets all stabilized and everything like that, to make sure it doesn't fall off halfway through your smoking experience. Now, Leg Boot Legit did warn me. He did say, do not get the flame, do not get the embers too close to these hats. They may catch on fire, they may get damaged and everything like that kind of thing. These are not fireproof hats, just like most normal hats are, well, not fireproof hats. So I am gonna have to be a little bit more careful than not during today's video, but this just looks fantastic and the quality of them is great, frankly put. Oh man, I love how this looks, frankly. It looks so dang good. Looks so dang good. Well, let's go ahead and get the fedora out now as well. I'm gonna go ahead and put the Yankees hat back where it was if I possibly can. I'm not very good with small things, but I'm gonna go and try to put it back just where it was without damaging it or anything like that kind of thing. And there we go, put the Yankees hat back just like that. Let's go ahead and now fold this one up and let's get the fedora out as well. Try to just get that out very, very, very carefully. Just ease it up, just twirl it around just a little bit, just ease it up. Don't want to get it damaged or anything like that kind of thing. I want to make sure it's all good to have my cigarette wear and everything like that, so got to make sure I don't damage it. But let's go ahead and get that all out. There we go. Just came out just like that. We can see this fedora right here looks fantastic. It's got a very nice brim going all the way around, a nice little bit of a black ribbon right there made of some felt, and then at the top we can see there's like 2 little indents right there like a real fedora, and then there's a little bit of a line going around the inside right there just like a real fedora. Once again, this is a pretty realistic miniaturized fedora, just like the New York Yankees hat was as well. This looks great. The quality is great. Man, oh man. I'm so hyped to stick one of these on one of my cigarettes, and I am very hyped to smoke a cigarette with a cigarette hat on it for the first time. Oh man, this is getting me so hyped. And honestly, I'm a little bit nervous. I am a little bit nervous, but I am so hyped to say the least. This just looks so dang good though. I'm gonna go ahead and put this back. I think first off, I might just go for it, and I might use both of the cigarette hats in today's video. I am very tempted to do that. I think I might do that in all honesty. I'm just gonna go and put that one back though, because I think I wanna use the Yankees one first. But let's just go ahead and give you guys one more look at the hats, just like that. They look great to say the least. Without further ado, let's go ahead and now figure out what cigarette I want to have wear a cigarette hat for the first time. What cigarette do I want to have wearing a cigarette hat when I'm smoking a cigarette, wearing a cigarette hat for the first time? Well, I've got 2 different options with me today. I've got an American Spirit dark blue pack of cigarettes, and I've also got a GPC Classic Gold Box 100 pack of cigarettes as well. I'm thinking I want to start off with the American Spirit dark blues, because I could definitely go for a little bit of a buzz right now. And so I'm thinking I want to start off with this pack right here. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to start off with the Yankees hat as well, because the Yankees hat has a dark blue color. These cigarettes inside this pack might not have a dark blue color, but the packaging does have a dark blue color. So, hey, why not start off with the Yankees hat, and why not smoke an American Spirit dark blue? That's what I'm thinking at least. And then I'm thinking I'm probably going to want another cigarette after that, after a couple minutes. And so I'm thinking I'm going to have one of my GPC Classic Gold cigarettes after that, and I'm probably going to stick the fedora on it at that point. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get the Yankees hat back out now, if I possibly can. Just hold that up, and this whole sort of like this right here, oh man, that's just so good. I love it. I love it. It makes it so easy to get everything in and out without damaging the packaging or anything like that kind of thing. I am a fan of that, to say the least. Let's go ahead, put that back down like that, and I'm gonna go ahead and put that down on the ground now. Make sure I put it down very, very, very slowly, not scratching it or anything like that kind of thing. I don't want to damage it by any means. I love it. But let's go ahead and I'm just put the hat down on my leg, make sure I don't drop it. I'm gonna go ahead and get one of my cigarettes out now. And now without further ado, I do suppose I should probably go ahead and put the cigarette hat on my American Spirit Dark Blue cigarette and actually take a look at what wearing a cigarette hat actually looks like for the first time. So the way you just attach this is you just take the cigarette in however way you want, and you just stick it in just like that. You just kind of poke it in, boom, just like that, and there we go. Oh my God, my cigarette is wearing a hat. I love it. I love it. My cigarette is wearing a hat. Oh my God, this is so good. This is so good. My cigarette is wearing a hat, y'all. Oh my God, I love it. Oh man, this is so good. Oh man, my cigarette is wearing it. Oh man, I can't get over. It looks so good. It looks so cool. Oh man, it looks so cool, y'all. It looks so dang cool. Oh man, my cigarette really is, I gotta be careful. I almost poked all the way through the other end of the cigarette. My cigarette really is wearing a hat though. Oh man, it just looks so dang good. Like, the hats already looked good as they were, but they look even better when mounted on a cigarette. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. I am huge fan of how this turned out. Oh man, this looks so good. This looks so good. Just weight-wise, just holding it, it's definitely a little bit heavier than normal, of course, because you have added a hat to the cigarette. So it is a little bit heavier than normal, not significantly so by any means. Just, I think the main really big difference is just kind of how the cigarette is weighted. It's definitely weighted more towards the top. So when I'm smoking it, it's definitely going to want to rotate like that, just so it's kind of hanging down and whatnot kind of thing. But it shouldn't be too hard to keep it like this to make sure the hat stays upright and everything like that kind of thing. But the hat definitely does affect the weight of the cigarette, and it definitely does affect the, what's the way of putting this? The cigarette's weight dynamics, like where the cigarette is weighted and everything like that kind of thing. So it definitely does feel a little bit different to hold a cigarette with a hat on it than a normal cigarette, but it's not a particularly big deal by any means. It's definitely not a deal breaker for me, that is for sure. And I am thinking that this cigarette might come across as being a little bit more airy than not. I have poked a hole in the cigarette to put the cigarette hat and everything like that, so it might come across a little bit more airy than it might normally if you're smoking a Baldy, frankly put, but I don't think it'll be a big deal by any means. I'm sure it'll still be an amazing smoke, not only because the American Spirit Dark Blue cigarettes are just good cigarettes in general, but also because this cigarette is wearing a cigarette hat. It's wearing a hat. I mean, like, how much better can you get than that, frankly put? Is there anything else I wanted to mention? I don't think there really was. Man, this looks so good. Very easy to get into the cigarette, not hard at all. Very easy to mount, to say the least. Looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, like, just, oh man, look at that, y'all. Look at it. It looks so dang good. I can't get over it. It looks so dang, well, I think I need to go ahead and get the cigarette all lit up though. I do think I do need to, because if I just keep sitting here, I'm just gonna keep talking about how much I think it looks cool, because it looks so dang cool. But without further ado, I do think I should probably go ahead and get my lighter out of my pocket. And I do think I should probably go ahead and get this cigarette right here all lit up. And I think I should probably go ahead and actually get to smoking a cigarette wearing a cigarette hat for the first time. And I think I should go ahead and let you guys know how this experience is as well. Well, I already know that this cigarette hat and this cigarette, wearing this cigarette hat, looks cool. Even though this cigarette isn't lit up, I'm thinking it's about to look even more cool. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this cigarette all lit up, y'all. Yes, sir, yes, sir, and I'm saying. My lighter was trying to burn the inside of my hand. I cannot believe me. It was doing me dirty just a little bit. Right off the bat, though, I'm already feeling just how much more cool this experience is when compared to smoking a Baldy. I mean, like, smoking a Baldy is already, like, cool as hell, frankly put. But this is just that much cooler. And I can just feel it in my lungs. Some people might argue it's the metal from the pin. Some people might argue it's the metal from the pin, and inhaling the metal from the pin maybe is not very healthy for my lungs. But I disagree. I don't think it's the metal from the pin. I think it's just how cool this experience is. It's my lungs realizing that, well, as it says on the back of the pack, it's my lungs realizing that it's getting some good tar with good style and good drip and everything like that kind of thing. This is so dang good. Oh my God. This is so good. This is so cool. This is so, I'm being completely serious right now. I realize some of y'all might think that this entire video is a joke. Some of y'all might think that I'm not being serious about this and everything like that kind of thing. No, I'm being 100% completely dead ass. This is not a laughing matter. This is a way to make cigarettes even cooler than they already are. I didn't think it was possible. This is no laughing matter. I would not joke about a product that can make cigarettes even more cool than they already are. And these cigarette hats are that product. They make cigarettes even cooler than they already are. This is so good. I'm gonna go ahead and ash this cigarette for the first time. Does the hat stay on when you're ashing the cigarette? It does indeed. No issues at all. Man, this looks so good. Oh man, I love it. I absolutely love it. This looks so good. Man, this is so dope. And I know I mentioned that I was thinking the cigarette was gonna be a little bit more airy, just because there's a hole poked in it now. It is the tiniest bit more airy, but because most of the hole is filled up with the pin still, I haven't taken the pin out or anything like that kind of thing. It's not a big deal by any means, but this is just so dang good. This is just, oh man, I want to stick the hat on the end of the cigarette. I don't want to light or anything like that kind of thing. I just want to have the hat, I just want to have the cigarette wear a hat like on the end, like upright. I'm gonna have to do that after this. Oh man, I've got so many like different ideas. Oh man, this is so good. I love this. I love this, y'all. Man, oh man, this is amazing. This is so dang good. Wow. Nicotine resistant, I can definitely confirm. It's said on the back of the pack that these hats are nicotine resistant, and I can definitely confirm that. The smoke's kind of hitting the hat just a little bit more so than not, but it's not getting discolorized, decolored, or discolored, or anything like that kind of thing. Big brain words right there. Discolored is a really big word that big brain people use, right? So yeah, but not getting discolored or anything like that kind of thing. These are nicotine resistant as advertised. And are cigarette hats awesome? I can confirm firsthand, after now having smoked most of a cigarette with a cigarette hat on it, that cigarette hats are awesome. And I can also confirm that cigarette hats make smoking even cooler than it already is as well. This is so good. This is so good. Oh my God. Huge shout out once again to Leg Boot Legit. These are so damn cool. I love them. I love them. These truly are an art piece, if you ask me, and I'm so glad that it's a usable art piece as well. And I'm so glad that I'm actually using it in this video today. Oh man, it's so good. Thank you so much once again to Leg Boot Legit. This is awesome. It is getting a little bit close to the hat though. I think I'm gonna take 1 or 2 more hits, and then after that, I think I'm probably gonna take the hat off. I wanna make sure it doesn't catch on fire or anything like that, of course. So I'm gonna go and take those last 1 or 2 hits before I take the hat off. And now I'm just gonna go and take the hat off. We can see the pin itself not discolored or anything like that kind of thing. I was kind of afraid the pin might be a little bit discolored when you pull it out just because of all the small hot smoke coming at it, but not at all. There might be a little bit of tobacco or tar on the very end of it, but not a big deal one bit. That'll clean up very easily if I do say so myself. I'm gonna go ahead and put this down in the box that they came in, just like that. And now I'm gonna go ahead and finish off smoking this cigarette as a baldy. Sadly, oh wait, there's a lot of smoke coming out of that one hole. Oh, that's so funny. There's like smoke just coming out of that hole. Oh man, I just noticed that. But I'm gonna finish smoking this cigarette as a baldy. I'm just gonna make sure I get my nicotine and everything like that kind of thing. This cigarette though, even though it's now bald, it's still much cooler than not because it was at one point wearing a hat. Whew, great stuff if I do say so myself. Definitely now, it is a little bit more airy than not. So there's definitely some benefits and downsides to using cigarette hats. So if you want a really, really, really full-bodied smoke, you don't want any airiness at all, a cigarette hat, while they do make cigarettes look cool, if your priority is getting a big body, they may not be for you. I do want to acknowledge they do make the cigarette just a little bit more airy than not, just because they do poke a hole in the cigarette just to mount the hat and everything like that kind of thing. But if you're going for coolness factor, you cannot go wrong with a cigarette hat, frankly put. Man, oh man, these are so... Oh, it's not even wearing the hat anymore, and I'm still talking about how cool it is. It's just that cool. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm starting to feel a little bit of a buzz. And I think I'm getting a little bit of a bigger buzz than usual, because not only have I not had a cigarette for the last just about an hour now, but also, this cigarette was wearing a hat. My lungs are currently getting some extra style right now, some extra good tar, extra better tar than usual. So good. And I could really feel, it was not a metal taste coming through at all. Definitely not. I definitely did not get any metal taste coming through at all. 100% not. It was definitely, I could just taste just how cool, just how more cool this cigarette tasted. I love it. I love it. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stub this cigarette out on the ground now. Got to make sure I don't cause no forest fires or nothing like that. That would not be a very cool thing to do if I do say so myself. So I got to make sure I don't be causing no forest fires and whatnot. Just go ahead and make sure it's all stubbed out now. And since it is all stubbed out, I'm going to go ahead and put this cigarette in the side of my backpack. Can't be littering or nothing like that. Littering is not cool either. And since I'm trying to be as cool as I possibly can in today's video, of course, I got to make sure that I don't litter. I'm going to go and take myself a little bit of a sip of water real quick and just give myself a moment, because, man, oh man, I am feeling a little bit buzzed in all honesty. But now that I've taken a little bit of a sip of water, I'm feeling much better, to say the least. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just talk a little bit about how my first ever experience with a cigarette hat was. I think I'm going to go and talk a little bit about how my first ever experience smoking a cigarette, wearing a cigarette hat actually was, before I go ahead and smoke another cigarette wearing a cigarette hat. So how was this experience? Frankly put, it was great. It was a great experience. It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, like, the hat really did... I mean, like, I wasn't doubting the hats were going to make this experience even cool. Excuse me, I'm getting more jaw jumbled up. That's just how amazing this experience was. But I wasn't doubting that cigarette hats were going to make smoking just that much more cool. I wasn't doubting by any means, but it was one of those things where I hadn't ever experienced it before. So while I wasn't doubting, I just wasn't sure how much more cool it would make it. But it's like a solid, like, double more cool. Like, cigarettes wearing a hat, if you're smoking a cigarette, that's already really cool, but that's just like base level. But if you're smoking a cigarette wearing a hat, that's like doubly cool. And I think I can say that for sure. I could definitely taste the extra coolness in my lungs and in my mouth. Oh my God, just amazing, frankly put. Just so dang cool, so dang good. Oh man, cigarette hats are amazing, to say the least. They are amazing, and they really do make your smoking experience cool, and they are awesome. They are awesome. I love them. I love them. They are so dang cool. I can't get over just like, oh man, I want them to be a real product. I don't know if Leg Boot legit has any plans to make them a real product. I don't want to say anything kind of thing. I haven't talked with him about that or anything like that kind of thing, but if they were a real product, I would buy them. Let me just put it that way. I don't know. I do feel like it would actually, if you, oh man. Before I go ahead and get another cigarette all lit up, I do kind of want to just talk a little bit about how I feel like, I think it would be really cool as a niche product. I think it would be really interesting to sell as a real product, but I do feel like it would open you up to a lot of lawsuits. So probably not a good idea to sell as a real product if you don't want to be involved in lawsuits, frankly put. but it would be awesome. It would be awesome as a real product. I'd love to see it. Like I could totally see them getting sold at like Five Below, Circle K, 7-Eleven, like, and there could be like different like, oh man, and there could be like different like pack designs and different like hat designs, like 4 different stores, so you have to go to different stores to collect them all. So like there's like the 7-Eleven, so you get like a top hat and like a 7-Eleven like baseball hat or something like that kind of thing at like 7-Eleven, and then like Circle K you get like a hat that's red and has like the Circle K logo on it or something like that kind of thing, and you get like a fedora or something like that, and then you go to and then there's like a Yankee specific one where you have to actually go to the Yankees stadium and you have to get the Yankees hat one there. Like just I'm thinking like Pokemon cards but cigarette hats. That's what I'm thinking. Like you have to go to different, well, I don't think you actually have to go to different stores to get different Pokemon cards, but I'm thinking collectible cigarette hats. That's what I'm thinking. Like I think cigarette hats are the new age, like what were they called, those rubber bands that like were really cool when I was back in like elementary and middle school. What were they called? Oh man, the ones that made like little animal designs and stuff like that. I used to collect them. Oh, what were they called? I can't remember. If y'all know what I'm talking about, y'all know what I'm talking about. They're the new age those. They're the new age Pokemon cards. That's what they are. So dang cool. I love them. Love them. Well, I do think without further ado, it is now time for me to go ahead and put the Yankees hat back in the packaging where it was. So let's go ahead, pick that up. Let's go and pick up the box as well. Fold that back up just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and put that down. And I'm going to go ahead and put that back in now, just like that, if I can. There we go, just like that, just snapped right back in. Certainly no complaints on my behalf. Looking great if I do say so myself. I'm just gonna turn it just a little bit, just like that. And now I do think, without further ado, it is time for me to go ahead and get the fedora out once again. And I think it's time for me to smoke another cigarette and to smoke another cigarette wearing a cigarette hat again. Well, let's go ahead and get my pack of GPC Classic Gold 100 cigarettes. And let's go ahead and get the pack all opened up. Let's go ahead and get one of these cigarettes right here all out. And now, without further ado, I do think it is time for me to go ahead and put this cigarette hat on this cigarette as well. So let's go ahead and do that just real quick. Just go and put it, oh no. These are a little bit small. I'm not very dexterous, I will admit, so let's go ahead and see if I can get this put in there. Just like that. Boom, easy peasy. Once again, and man, it looks so good. It looks so good. And like, since this is a fedora, like I was like, I need to make this joke in this video, but it's not that funny. But cigarette, Perry the cigarette. Phineas and Ferb reference. I love Phineas and Ferb. But let's go get my lighter out of my pocket once again. And I do suppose without further ado, I should probably go ahead and get this cigarette all lit up as well and go ahead and smoke another cigarette wearing a cigarette hat. This looks just so dang cool. I absolutely love it. Excuse me. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this all lit up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? I can definitely tell right off the bat, once again, a little bit more airy than normal. Not more airy to any real significant degree, but a little bit more airy nonetheless. But man, this just looks so dang cool. It looks so dang good. I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh man, this is so... I keep saying it's so dang cool, but it's just, there's no better way to describe it. It really is so dang cool. It really is. It's so good. It's so good. Oh man. When I just looked at my watch, it's currently 4:20. It's currently 4:20, y'all. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Smoking a cigarette, wearing a cigarette hat on 4:20. Now that is what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That is cool as hell. Go and just ash the cigarette. It's not one to ash. I'll give it a moment. Now, one thing I do want to acknowledge, while I do think these cigarette hats would be really cool to whip out at a party. I think it would be a bad idea to smoke a cigarette wearing a cigarette hat while drunk, just simply because, well, at least when I'm drunk, I tend to just light a cigarette and then hold it and just puff away whenever I'm feeling like it. And sometimes I forget about my cigarette and I just let it burn all the way to the end. And it'd be really bad if that cigarette I forgot about burned all the way to the end, especially if it was wearing a cigarette hat, because you might catch a cigarette hat on fire. So I would not recommend using cigarette hats while you're drunk, but in every other scenario, these are absolutely amazing. And these are definitely a good party trick. And this cigarette wearing the fedora, oh man, it looks so cool. It looks just as cool as the hat that was wearing the New York Yankees hat. It looks so good. It looks so dang good, y'all. It really does. I love it. I love it, y'all. Oh man. It looks so good. It looks so good, y'all. Oh man. Huge fan. Huge fan. I just can't get enough of it. Let me just show y'all real quick. I cannot get enough of it. Go and just readjust it just a little bit. I'm really happy. The hats are a lot more stable than not. Like definitely when tap ashing, and I definitely say when you're using a cigarette hat, you definitely don't want to flick up with your thumb like that. The cigarette hat might come out. And when you're tap ashing, like that kind of thing, the cigarette hat can get a little bit, it can move around just a little bit kind of thing. It's only mounted with one pin, of course, not two, so it's not going to be a super firm mount. It will wiggle around just a little bit. But I definitely recommend not flick ashing. Tap ashing is going to be your way. With cigarette hats, tap ashing is pretty cool. So you're not losing any coolness points by doing that by any means. Man, oh man, this is so good. Oh man, I cannot get enough of this. I'm gonna go ahead and take the cigarette hat out. Want to make sure I don't catch it on fire or nothing. Once again, very nicotine resistant if I do say so myself. I'm gonna go and put this down once again, just like I did with the New York Yankees one, and I'm gonna go and finish off my cigarette. And then after that, I think I'm gonna go and give you guys my final thoughts on the cigarette hats that I give you guys a full overview of and that I smoked a cigarette wearing a cigarette hat with in today's video. And then after that, I'm gonna go ahead and give them a rating. And then after that, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video right there, I do think. But first off, as I said, I gotta finish off my cigarette. Which is still a little bit more airy than not. That is one thing, of course, that is worthwhile to acknowledge about smoking a cigarette wearing a cigarette hat. If you want a really full body, you might not want to use a cigarette hat just simply because it is going to make the cigarette a little bit more airy than it was previously. Once again, just as with the first cigarette I smoked in this video, I can feel just how good and how cool the tar is in my lungs. The back of the pack was not lying. My lungs feel extra stylish now. Like I'm feeling like tomorrow I might just walk out of the house in like pure Prada and Gucci. Like I don't even own any, but I think it's just gonna arrive in my closet like overnight kind of thing. I don't know how that's gonna work, but I think I'm gonna have some Prada, some Gucci, some Fendi in my closet. I'm just gonna walk out with just all the drip on and everything like that kind of thing. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think that's gonna happen, but. I do feel more drippy than ever before. I will not deny that. I do feel more drippy than ever before. Man, oh man. I can't get enough of them. Cigarette hats are so dang cool. They are so dang cool. Now, of course, one thing to acknowledge in all seriousness though, it's probably not very safe to smoke a cigarette with a cigarette hat on it. Probably not very safe. I don't want to say that it is safe to do that. They do use metal pins and everything like that kind of thing. That's just me being completely serious right now. Probably not super safe to use a cigarette hat, but the upside is that you look extra cool. The downside is that it's even more unhealthy. Well, isn't that why we smoke cigarettes anyway? To get more unhealthy and to look more cool? And that's pretty much all I had to this cigarette. I'm gonna go and step it out on the ground. Can't be causing no forest fires once again. So I want to make sure it's all out and whatnot. Just like that. And I do believe it's all out. This cigarette is all out as well. I'm gonna go and put that in the side of my backpack. Not cool to litter, so I gotta make sure I'm not littering or anything like that in this video, of course. I do think now it's time for me to go ahead and give you guys my final thoughts on the cigarette hats that I made a video about today. So what are my final thoughts? Do cigarette hats really make smoking cooler than it already is? Yes, yes they do. Are cigarette hats really all that awesome? Yes, yes they are. Cigarette hats are awesome, and cigarette hats do make smoking just that much more cool than it already is. I can confirm that firsthand after having used one for the first time in today's video. And as a whole, this was a fantastic experience. Cigarette hats make smoking all that much more cool. Your cigarettes just look cooler. I love it. And one thing I almost forgot to do, I wanted to put a cigarette hat on just the end of the cigarette. Let me go ahead and just do that real quick. I almost forgot to do that. So let me just go ahead and just stick it in just like that real quick. Oh man, look at that. It looks so good. It looks so good. I love it. I love it. Oh man, look at that, y'all. Oh man, it looks so good. But let's go and get that back out. Put that back down once again. But yeah, cigarette hats are damn good. And I think they deserve a very solid rating of a 4 out of 4. For context, my rating scale goes from a 1 to 4, with 1 being like, I wouldn't recommend this product, this is a horrible product, never use this product. 2 out of 4 being like, you know, I don't like it personally, but some other people may. A 3 out of 4 is like, you know, this is pretty good, I'd buy it again, but it's not like the best thing ever. And a 4 out of 4 is like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever, this is all I ever want. And yeah, that's the level that cigarette hats are at. They are at a solid 4 out of 4. They are like the best thing ever, frankly put. They are on the same level as The Peace when it comes to just products in general. And for context, The Peace is my favorite cigarette of all time. Cigarette hats are damn cool, they are damn good, and they are awesome. I love cigarette hats, to say the least. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video where I explained fully in depth why cigarette hats are awesome and why I explained in depth just how cool cigarette hats really are and why they are so cool. Certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. Thank you so much once again to Leg Boot Legit. Once again, all of the links to Leg Boot Legit social medias are down in the description and comments down below. Go check them all out. Thank you so much once again to Leg Boot Legit for allowing me to make this video today. I really do appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to make. I've had a lot of fun making this video today, and I certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. If you guys have enjoyed watching this video, of course, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my P.O. Box, and my second channel all in the description down below. Go check it all out. You know, thank you so much for watching, y'all. Till the next one, stay safe and peace, and have a great one. Yes, sir, and I'm saying.